An elephant stood at the edge of a cliff with 80 other elephants behind him, and he had to make an impossible choice. Let me tell you what happened. This is one of the most beautiful stories from Buddhist tradition. It's about an elephant who saved his entire family. And the amazing thing is, this elephant would later be born as the Buddha. But we're going way back when he was just an elephant living in the forest with his herd. This story is going to teach you something really important about courage and taking care of the people you love. And I promise by the end you're going to look at elephants very differently. So let me take you back to ancient India, to a time when animals could be just as wise and brave as any human. There was a forest in the mountains, beautiful place, green trees everywhere, rivers flowing, birds singing, and in this forest lived a herd of 80 elephants. These elephants were a family, mothers, fathers, babies, grandparents. They ate together, played together, protected each other. You know how elephants are, they're really close with their families. And leading this herd was one elephant. He was big and strong, but what made him special wasn't his size. It was his heart. He cared about every single elephant in that herd. If a baby elephant got tired, he'd walk slower. If an old elephant couldn't reach the fruit on a tree, he'd shake the branches down for them. If danger came, he'd put himself between the herd and whatever was threatening them. The other elephants trusted him completely. Where he went, they went. What he said, they listened. Now life was good for these elephants. They had everything they needed: food, water, safety. They'd wake up in the morning, eat some leaves, play in the river, take naps in the shade. Perfect life, right? But then something happened. The rainy season didn't come that year. Now, if you've never lived in a place with real seasons, let me explain. In India, there's a time every year when it rains like crazy, and that rain fills up all the rivers and lakes. It makes the plants grow. It's basically what keeps everything alive. But this year, nothing. The sky stayed clear. The sun beat down every single day. And slowly, the forest started dying. The rivers got smaller and smaller until they were just tiny streams. Then the streams dried up completely. The grass turned brown. The leaves on the trees started falling off. And the elephants got thirstier and thirstier. At first it wasn't too bad. The lead elephant knew where all the water sources were. He'd take the herd to different spots. But one by one, those spots dried up too. The baby elephants started crying because they were so thirsty. The older elephants were getting weak. Everyone was suffering. The lead elephant had to find water. That was his job. That's what a leader does. You take care of your family no matter what. So he started searching. Every day, he'd go out looking for water. He'd walk for hours, checking every place he could think of.
His throat was dry.
His legs were tired. But he kept going because 80 elephants were depending on him. Days passed, then weeks. The forest got quieter and quieter because animals were leaving or dying. The elephants were getting desperate. And then one day, the lead elephant found something. He was walking through a part of the forest he'd never been to before. Rocky area, not many trees. And he saw something weird. There was a cliff, a really tall cliff. And at the bottom of this cliff, way down, he saw something that made his heart jump. A lake. Not a tiny pond, not a muddy puddle, a huge lake, full of clean, clear water. More water than the herd could drink in a year. He found it. He actually found it. But then he looked closer, and his heart sank. The cliff was too steep. There was no path down. No way for the elephants to climb down to reach that water. They could see it, but they couldn't get to it. He walked along the edge of the cliff, looking for any kind of path. Maybe some rocks they could climb, Maybe a gentler slope somewhere? He checked the whole area. Nothing. The cliff went straight down. And at the bottom, all that beautiful water just sitting there. Have you ever been really, really thirsty and seen a bottle of water but you can't open it? That's what this was like, but 100 times worse. The lead elephant stood there staring at that lake. He could practically taste the water. He knew his family was dying of thirst, and the water was right there, but there was no way to reach it. He went back to the herd, and when he came back, you could see it in his eyes. The other elephants gathered around him. Did you find water? He nodded. The elephants got excited. The babies started trumpeting. Finally, water. They were saved. But then they saw his face. Something was wrong. We can't reach it, he said. It's at the bottom of a cliff. Too steep to climb down. The excitement died. Some of the elephants started crying. Others just looked down at the ground. They'd had hope for a second, and now it was gone. The lead elephant looked at his family. These elephants he'd known his whole life. The babies he'd watched grow up. The elders who'd taught him everything. His friends. His family. They were all going to die of thirst with a lake full of water just sitting there. Unless. An idea started forming in his mind. A crazy idea. An impossible idea. But maybe the only idea. He walked away from the herd. He needed to think. He went back to the cliff and stared down at the lake. The cliff was really tall. He tried to estimate. From the top to the bottom was about the length of, the length of a really big elephant. And that's when he understood what he had to do. See, elephants are smart. Really smart. And this elephant was doing math in his head. The distance from the top of the cliff to the water? About equal to the length of his body if he was standing up. If an elephant were to stand at the top of the cliff on his hind legs and reach down with his front legs, his feet might just reach the water. And if the other elephants climbed down using that elephant like a ladder, they could reach the water. But here's the thing, the elephant being used as a ladder? He'd be stuck, holding all that weight, pressed against sharp rocks. No way to pull himself back up once the others climbed down. He'd be giving up his life to save theirs. The lead elephant stood there thinking about this. He could just walk away, pretend he never found the lake. The whole herd would die together, including him, but at least he wouldn't have to make this choice. Or he could do nothing, just stay with the herd and wait for the end. Or he could save them. He didn't tell anyone his plan. He just gathered the herd and led them to the cliff. When they saw the lake down below, they started getting excited again, but then confused. How were they supposed to get down there? The lead elephant looked at his family one last time. Then he backed up to the edge of the cliff, turned around, and started lowering himself down backward. His back feet gripping the edge of the cliff, his body pressed against the rock face. The other elephants watched, not understanding what he was doing. He kept lowering himself down, his strong legs shaking as they took all his weight. His back was scraping against the sharp rocks, but he didn't stop. Down, down, down he went until he was stretched out completely. His back feet were at the top of the cliff, gripping tight. His front feet were reaching down, down, down toward the water. And then his front feet touched the water. He did it. He made himself into a bridge. Now the other elephants understood. They started climbing down, using his body like a ladder. One elephant would step onto his back, then climb down his body, using his legs like steps until they reached his front feet and could jump into the water. One by one they went. The mothers went first so they could help the babies. Each elephant carefully climbed down the leader's body. Can you imagine how that felt? Sharp hooves stepping on your back, your legs pressing you harder against the rocks. The pain must have been incredible. But the lead elephant didn't move, didn't cry out. He just held steady. 5 elephants climbed down.
10, 20.
His legs were shaking from the effort. The rocks were cutting into his skin, but he held on. 30 elephants.
40.
50. The pain was so intense he could barely think. Everything hurt. His legs felt like they were going to snap, but he held on. 60 elephants.
70.
Almost there. Almost all of them safe. The second to last elephant climbed down. Then the very last one, a baby elephant who was scared but made it down safely. 79 elephants were now at the bottom of the cliff, drinking the cool, clean water, trumpeting with joy, splashing around. They were saved. And the lead elephant was still holding on at the top, his body stretched between the cliff and the water, every part of him screaming in pain. He'd done it. He'd saved them all. But now he couldn't get down, and he couldn't pull himself back up. He was stuck. The elephants at the bottom realized what happened. They looked up and saw their leader still pressed against the cliff, holding the position even though everyone was safe now. "Come down," they called to him. "You can let go now." But he couldn't. His legs were locked in place from holding the weight for so long. His muscles wouldn't respond anymore. He was too injured, too exhausted. He tried to move, but his body wouldn't listen. The elephants below started panicking. They tried to find a way to help him, but there was nothing they could do. The cliff was too steep to climb back up. The lead elephant hung there as the sun started to set. His strength was almost gone. His breathing got slower. He looked down at his family, all of them safe, all of them with water, all of them going to survive. And he was okay with that. He'd made his choice. He'd picked their lives over his own.
And he'd do it again.
His eyes started to close. His grip started to loosen. And then something happened. The gods were watching. See, in Buddhist stories, the gods are always watching when something important happens. And they'd been watching this whole time. They saw what the elephant did. They saw his choice. They saw his sacrifice. And they were moved to tears. The king of the gods said, "This elephant has more compassion in his heart than most humans will ever have. He deserves to live." So the gods came down from heaven, and they used their powers to gently lift the lead elephant off the cliff and place him safely at the bottom with the rest of his herd. When the other elephants saw their leader alive, they rushed over to him. They surrounded him, touching him gently with their trunks, making happy sounds. The baby elephants who he'd saved nuzzled against him. The elders bowed their heads in respect. The whole herd was together again. The lead elephant was injured and exhausted, but he was alive, and his family was safe. The gods blessed the lake, making sure it would never dry up. That water would always be there for the elephants. And then the gods said something interesting. They said, "This elephant will be reborn many times. And one day, he will be born as a human. And as a human, he will become the Buddha, the one who teaches the whole world about compassion." So that's the story. The Buddha told this story himself, saying that elephant was me in a past life. Now, let me tell you why this story matters. That elephant had a choice. He could have saved himself. He could have left the herd and found water somewhere else on his own. A single elephant can survive easier than a whole herd. But he didn't even consider that option. Because when you really love your family, their survival matters more than your own. That elephant teaches us that being a leader isn't about being the biggest or the strongest. It's about being willing to sacrifice for the people who depend on you. Parents do this every day. They work jobs they don't like to feed their kids. They give up sleep to take care of babies. They put their children's needs before their own. Teachers do this. They spend their own money on school supplies. They stay late to help struggling students. Doctors and nurses do this. They risk their own health to care for sick people. Firefighters do this. They run into burning buildings to save strangers. That elephant represents everyone who puts others first. Everyone who makes the hard choice to help someone else even when it costs them something. And here's the thing, you don't have to die to be like that elephant. You can show that same spirit in small ways every single day. When you share your lunch with someone who forgot theirs. When you help your little brother with his homework even though you're tired. When you stand up for someone being bullied even though it might make you unpopular. When you give your seat to an old person on the bus. Every time you make someone else's life a little bit better, even when it's inconvenient for you, you're being like that elephant. Now I want to tell you something else about this story. The other elephants didn't forget what their leader did. For the rest of their lives, whenever they drank water from that lake, they remembered. They told their children about the elephant who saved them. And their children told their children. That's how this story survived for 2,500 years. Because people remembered. Because the story mattered. And the lesson is this. When you help someone, when you sacrifice for someone, when you put someone else's needs first, that matters. People remember. Maybe not forever, but they remember. More importantly, you change something in the world. You make it a little bit better. You plant a seed of kindness that grows into something bigger. That elephant saved 79 elephants. Those elephants went on to have children. Those children had children. That one act of sacrifice probably led to thousands of elephants being born who wouldn't have existed otherwise. One choice, one moment, thousands of lives changed. You have that power too. Your choices matter more than you think. So here's what I want you to take from this story. 1. You're capable of more courage than you realize. When the moment comes, when someone really needs you, you might surprise yourself with how brave you can be. 2. Love means sacrifice. Real love. Not just saying you care, but actually being willing to give something up for someone else. 3. Being a leader means going first into the hard stuff. It means doing the thing that scares you so others don't have to. And 4. Your life matters. What you do with it matters. You can live just for yourself, or you can live in a way that helps others. That choice is up to you. That elephant chose to be a bridge. He turned his whole body into a way for others to reach safety. You can be a bridge too, between someone who's lonely and friendship, between someone who's struggling and help, between someone who's lost and hope. What kind of elephant do you want to be? Subscribe to Better Buddhist for more stories that actually mean something.